everybody. So I'm a little, out of sorts today, but I wanted to get YouTube Pagan Challenge week 5, 4, 5, 4, 4, week 4 done. So week 4, I believe, was your take on the Wheel of the Year. Now, I started with Wicca. That's where my path kind of started. And so for a long while, I followed the Wiccan year, Wheel of the Year, pretty, straightforward. We had Yule and Imbolc and Ostara and Litha and Lunasa and Mabon and Samhain and so on and so forth. And I think I missed one. But anyway, so I followed that for a long time, and I like the idea of the Wheel of the Year and kind of following the seasons and everything, but the issue that I had is I'm in Southern California, and as I feel kind of weird complaining about the fact that we have no seasons and that it's pretty much the same all year round. I feel bad because I see people who are back east, like buried in 15 feet of snow, and I'm sure that's not like the most fun, but we don't have like barely any season. Like there's such little change, so it's really hard to really feel like into the seasons. So I don't know. So I followed the Wheel of the Year, but then it actually started like making me feel kind of depressed because I was reading these books and I was doing these rituals and trying to follow this formula for the year that just didn't correspond with what was going on in the world around me. And so I felt really like envious of people who lived in other areas and just wasn't happy with where I was, and I was making me really, really depressed because I was like, my brain was telling me I should be experiencing all of these things, and then I look around the world and it's February and it's 80 degrees out. There's not a speck of snow even within 100 miles. We went through a drought for like almost 5 years and there was not even any snow in the mountains. So it's like, so it was really hard for me to continue with it. So I kind of backed off a little bit, especially on like the cross-quarter holidays. For some reason, those like Imbolc and such really have like, you really need to feel the season in order for those to kind of feel super valid. And I felt that, just kind of celebrating the solstice and the equinox worked for me because I could tell that the day was really long, or the night was really long, or the day and night were equal, like those kind of things, because the sun, the sun is kind of separate, almost separate from the seasons. So I was able to follow those holidays a little bit better. So for a while there, I've kind of just followed the, like the equinoxes and the solstices. But it's been a goal of mine for the past couple of years, and I just haven't had the inspiration or the reasoning to just sit down and do it. But for the last couple of years, I've been wanting to work out almost like a Southern California Wheel of the Year. So I think I'm going to be really focusing on that this year, especially with this YouTube Pagan Challenge. So if you want to kind of see me develop a Southern California Wheel of the Year, I'm going to try and work on that this year, starting with Imbolc, which is next weekend, or early next week. But I'll be making a video about it next weekend. So this week, I've already kind of been thinking about it, and I don't want to talk too much about it because that's next week's video, but I'm really going to be working on figuring out how the Wheel of the Year can be seen through the lens of Southern California. So like one little thing that I've found is I printed out the average weather trends for my area. Like average highs, average lows as far as temperature goes, rainfall, just so I could get like from like all at once kind of a year view. And things like, you know, Yule is supposed to be like midwinter, right? Like it's the winter solstice, so it's like you think of like snow and cold and like winter and stuff. But in Southern California, I mean, it's not uncommon for it to be in the high 70s, low 80s in December, so, or at least recently. And so my thought was like, well, let me look at this chart and figure out when is the most winter time-ish time for Southern California. And in my area, it's actually more of February. February is our rainiest month. So in my mind, the wheel has to kind of shift a little bit, and if I want to include something that's about like those kind of wintry feelings, like maybe the rain, it has to do with washing away and stuff like that. So there's like some similar ideas, but I need to be able to, for myself, figure out how it applies better so that I can actually appreciate the seasons as they turn where I live, instead of following a formula that was created by someone who lived in England in a completely different, you know, not hemisphere, but a whole completely different, you know, ecosystem or whatever you want to call it. They're on a different latitude. Like they're so much farther north. They experience the weather so much differently than we do here in Southern California. So it was really hard for, me to stick with the traditional Wiccan Wheel of the Year. So I'm working on developing my own this year, and so yeah, so that's what I'm going to be talking about next week. I'm going to be working on this week, figuring out everything I want to be doing for Imbolc, because I love the idea of the Wheel of the Year, of the you know, because my beliefs are very like on the cosmic level. So like, you know, the movements of Earth and the moon and the planets and in the galaxy and the universe, and I have a very cosmic idea of spirituality, and so it's important to me to know like our place in the universe. And I think a big part of that is, you know, the world is going to turn, the seasons are going to change whether we want them to or not. So it's our job to figure out how we fit into that pattern. And so knowing and celebrating that pattern is part of our task to find our place in the universe. So it's been something I've been struggling with, and so I'm really excited for this year. I think this will be the year. This is the year that I figure this out and get it done. And really, I mean, it's obviously probably going to develop over time, especially if I move. But I think it's something that's really important to me to figure out, you know, where I stand, not only in the world or in my country, but actually all the way down into my county or city and where I live, and making sure that I'm not just in a general Western world rhythm, that I'm actually in a very localized rhythm that really celebrates the seasons as we experience them here. So thanks for watching. This was week 4 of the YouTube Pagan Challenge. If you want to see more, give me a subscribe. I'm so far so good on this Pagan Challenge. So I'm going to keep going, and give me a comment if you have a channel or something and you want me to look at it, or let me know your ideas on the Wheel of the Year, or how you feel about how the Wheel of the Year affects you in your locale. Like, do you change the wheel so it fits a little bit better with where you live? Or are you more of a traditionalist, I guess? So, yeah, just give me a comment. I'd love to talk to more people, and I'll see you soon. Bye!